Hi, welcome to the video. So today I'm going to show you some exercises you can do with the metronome that will help you to keep an internal beat going even when you don't have a metronome or a drum or a click track going. And you'll be able to kind of test yourself and see how well you're able to keep that, how strict you can keep that beat when you don't have that reference. Now, if you have trouble with this, it doesn't mean that you can't stay in time when you do have a reference beat of like a drummer going, because then you can hear and correct. But you won't be able to do that in this drill, and I'll get to that in a second of how to do it. Basically, I came up with this just last week when I was on vacation. I was stuck on a plane and I didn't have any games on my phone or Wi-Fi, but I had a metronome. So it's like, okay, how can I use this to try and make myself get better? And I think that's kind of the best way to use this. Not necessarily with your guitar, though you can do that. But when you're sitting somewhere and you don't have access to your guitar, but you've got your phone, so rather than scrolling through social media or playing games, you can try this out and it will help you to become a better player. When you actually have your guitar, you're probably better off just playing the guitar, but you can try it with it. So basically what we're going to do, you need some sort of electronic metronome. You need something that, for example, if you look at this one, that shows you the beats of the measure. So like this one, you can set to different groupings of 4, 3, 5, but you need to know where the 1, 2, 3, 4 is to be able to do this exercise. And there's plenty of apps you can do. And this one I'm using is Soundburner, the free version of it. But there's lots of apps you can use that will show that. And you also have to have the ability to mute it or turn the volume all the way down for this exercise. So let's go and jump into this. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to pick, let's just do a 4/4 in quarter notes. If you want to, then count and play a single note, 1, 2, 3, or a chord, or go through a scale. You could, but you don't need to do any of that. Again, you could just tap your hand, tap your foot. The most important thing is you have to count it. That's the only essential thing for the drill. Everything else is just whatever helps you to stay in time. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to have the metronome going, and we're going to count, pick whatever beat you feel comfortable with. Start off maybe with something between like 80 and 120. Those middle tempos tend to be easier to stay in time with than if you go super slow or super fast. That tends to, because there's fewer songs at like 40 metronome or 200 metronome. So people usually don't feel as comfortable with that. At the slower speeds they'll rush, at the faster speeds they'll kind of drag behind the beat. So basically what we're going to do is get that beat going. Again, mute it so you don't hear it, and just count along with it till you can feel comfortable staying in sync with it. Once you can sync up, and that might be one measure, it might be, if you're not used to using metronome, it might be a number of measures. It doesn't really matter. Then after you count through that one measure, let's say, close your eyes and continue to count. Then open your eyes on the one beat. If you're doing that and you have this type of metronome, you'll see a flash on that. So when you're counting the one and you open your eyes, you want to make sure that that light is flashing on the one. If you're before or after it, then you know you counted off a little bit. So you're seeing if you can, without hearing or seeing the metronome, continue to count in time and count in time accurately to it. So you can alternate between a measure of counting with the beat, with watching it, and then a measure of having your eyes closed and not watching it. And then keep checking yourself on the one beat to see if you're still in time. Now, if that's not a problem, then what I do is extend the amount of time you have your eyes closed. So for example, you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, watching it, then you close your eyes, 1, 2, 3, 4, open it on 1, see if you're in time. It would be the first one. Then try it with 2 measures or 3 measures and extend how long you have your eyes closed. And when you then open them, if you're not on 1, you can see, did I rush the beat? Did I drag behind the beat? What were you doing? If you're having trouble sticking with it, keep it shorter. Don't, if you can't do 2 measures, don't do 3 measures. Instead go back to 1 measure, or do it longer with watching it. Maybe watch it for 3, 4 measures and really get it synced up before you close your eyes for 1. You can then challenge yourself in different ways. You can challenge yourself by going through from super slow to really fast and just trying to get a couple measures with your eyes closed. Go all the way down to 30, 40 metronome and go all the way up to as fast as you want on that. And you can just jump up like 40 to 50 to 60 and try it on each speed. You're going to find you'll be better at different speeds. Another option would be take a speed you're fairly comfortable with, maybe like 100 metronome, and see how many measures you can go before you get off. So try 5 measures. If you can do that accurately, try 6, 7, and keep going and see how many measures you can get through before you lose it. Now, this is much harder than playing with like a drum or a click track or something, because if you're doing 5 measures, that's 20 beats. So even if you're only going, let's say you're going 60 metronome, which is 1 beat per second, even if you're only going, speeding up one, let's say 20th of a beat, a 1/20th of a second, by the time you've done 20 beats, you're a whole beat off on it. And normally if you're listening to a beat, if you started speeding up, you'd probably catch yourself at some point, either subconsciously or consciously, and you'd pull it back into the correct amount. But because you can't hear the beat, you might continue to do the mistake over and over. And even if you're very accurate, let's say you're only off 1/100th of a second on it. If you do this for a prolonged period of time, 1/100th of a second adds up. If you do 50 beats, and you were rushing at the 1/100th of a second each of those, you're half a second off after those 50 beats. So don't get frustrated with yourself if you do larger numbers of beats and you find yourself coming off on it. Because again, it's harder than actually being able to hear the beat. Because when you hear the beat, you're going to self-correct, probably just subconsciously on that. Okay, so other options you can do with the same exercise is challenge yourself with different counting groups. Do eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, whatever grouping you want. You can then add in the guitar if you want, and try and do it with like a scale while you're doing it. You can also try different time signatures, so you can do 6/8, 3/4, 5/4, whatever you want on that. So challenge yourself in any number of ways with this. But the main point is just see if you can do it on a basic one. Start off with something like 100 metronome 4/4 time and see what you can do. And basically that's the idea. So if you like the video, please click a like or subscribe. I would be curious on the comments if you want to leave a comment saying how far you could go on like your best speed. Did you get to 10 measures before losing it, or did you only get to 5, or however many you got to, and how'd you fare at the really slow or really fast speeds? And I'll be honest, if I'm down to like a 40 metronome, that's much harder than doing like 80 or 100 or 120 or whatever, because it's really easy to, at those super slow speeds, to start rushing it a little bit, because you don't normally play at those really slow speeds, just like the super fast ones you probably don't normally play at that. So you might have to spend longer just syncing yourself up. Anyways, that's it for this time. Thanks for watching.